welcome to Fictional Narrative. I'm Neri, and it is Cozy Saturday, which means I'm going to be reviewing a cozy mystery that I just delved into, and this week it is Two-Part Sugar, One-Part Murder by Valerie Burns. So if this is your first Cozy Saturday with me, the way that it works is I'll give the non-spoiler review, and then the rating, and then we're gonna go into the spoilery review, and I'll give a warning for that. So this is the first of the series, and the main character's name is Maddie. She had a great aunt who just passed away, and so she's inheriting her great aunt's home and business, and overall the setting is very sweet. The characters are super lovable. I really love Maddie and her point of view on things, and even when it seems like she's a little spoiled, she tries to make the best out of everything that she has. And unfortunately, she's coming to realize that it really isn't what she thought it was, basically her entire life. And I love a story where essentially the character picks themselves up, has a fresh new start to their life. It's one of the tropes I absolutely love. And Maddie comes from LA. She's not used to a small town that her great aunt lives in. And also, she doesn't have too much of a connection to her great aunt other than being related to each other. So this is kind of interesting because I see a lot of people who are like, a lot of people being a lot of characters that are like, oh, I feel sad because this person passed away. But for her, she's kind of blindsided, and she's also kind of surprising everybody in her life with picking up and moving all the way out to this little town. So one thing that you learn quite quickly in the series is that she gets there and then immediately, boom, real estate agent. Hey, I'm buying up, the whole area. And I was thinking maybe we could talk over some dinner and maybe you can sell your great aunt's house to me. And the thing is, her great aunt, for this particular fresh new take on life, her great aunt has given her, there are requirements. For example, she has to take care of a dog. She inherited the dog. She has to run the business for a year. She has to live in that house. So for her to even get money from the inheritance, she has to stick to the details of this will. She's also warned by a lot of people in this town about a real estate deal, which is a trope that I find again in these stories that take place in small towns, is that the real estate agent or the realtor or whatever development wants to come in, they are evil. Keep that in mind. That is where it starts. And I will be honest, the mystery was really, really good. And the character development was also very good. Because we have this character who has kind of planned out her life in a certain way, and that's her way of taking action. And now that it's gone off the rails, she's finding herself taking initiative in different ways. And I really appreciate that character development for her. Maddie is someone who is, you get an adventure with her. And also, it's really cool that the mystery, of this book, of this particular book, doesn't just end there. So for me, I will pick up this series again because I think there's so much more that it has to offer. That being said, I did rate this a 5 out of 5. Now we're going to move into the definitely spoiler section. So this is the warning, okay? So first of all, what I love about this is it's not just your regular amateur sleuth being thrown in to this environment and now she's a sleuth. Now bodies are dropping dead. No. She's a legacy sleuth. And by that, I don't mean that, technically, her great aunt has been solving these mysteries where people are just turning up dead. But it's like her great aunt loved Sherlock Holmes. Maddie loves Sherlock Holmes. They both have this in common, right? And in her great aunt's life, she created a community around herself, which is the Irregulars, which comes from Sherlock Holmes. And the Irregulars are these people, you have the sheriff, you have the great aunt's best friend, you have the assistant baker, you have, because her aunt owns a bakery, you have the baker, and essentially these characters who allow Maddie to adjust easily into this new environment because they're so kind, so welcoming, and they love her. They're all kind of split, and I think most of the town is kind of split as well in terms of the deals of the realtor and having property prices go up because it's a huge issue. In fact, the assistant baker is like, hey, I can't even afford to live here even though I work here and I have to get here. So there's a lot of different type of conflicts. There is also two romantic interests in this book. It doesn't last. It doesn't last. It's not a triangle as I know it by the end of the book, but there isn't a huge progression in romance either because I love that this series so far is just it's all about Maddie. Like she's not gonna there is some sparks, but she's not gonna jump into it quite yet because I mean she's adjusting to everything. There's so much more that she has to find out because there's an even bigger mystery involved. I will say though, the main love interest is a man of action and we love it. And I kind of hinted at it in the beginning, but the realtor is kind of a love interest. That is that he's interested in her. For her, she's kind of like, okay, I mean, he's good looking. And the way that the mystery is laid out, before I move away from this, it's just layered so well that I was not expecting the twists. And I wasn't really expecting for it to end the way that it ended. And speaking of layers, there's so many layers to the character development. For example, Maddie's mother died. So she has this relationship with her father, but it's kind of a relationship that isn't very close, although she tries to meet all of his expectations. And he's very against her coming to this little town, taking on this inheritance. He thinks that she can't basically hack it on her own out here because, I mean, in all honesty, this character has a lot of good business sense. She is not a baker, though. So the assistant baker is now moving into baker territory. I'm hoping that moving forward, she becomes more of a baker. We get a little bit of that, but she's still learning herself. There is this exploration of childhood wounds and kind of a possessiveness because her mother passed away. This is a great aunt that she had never met before, but this great aunt, like through all the clues that Maddie's finding, through all the letters, she knows no matter what, she is really incredibly loved. And she starts to reflect on certain childhood wounds that she has and how they affect her as an adult. And I really, really appreciate it. I mean, there's even a point where her dad's like, I read the paper about that town you're in, and I know that there have been murders. What are you doing there? You need to pack up your stuff and come back home. And she's like, hey, Dad, do you know how to cook? Like, that's all she can think of asking him because of the enormous amount and layers of emotions that she is going through and stress that she is going through while being determined to come into her own. And she realizes she doesn't know whether or not her dad can even cook. So it's just little things like that that I really, really treasure about this book and Valerie Burns' writing. Okay, so let's talk about some negatives though. So first and foremost, I'm hoping, it doesn't seem that way, but I'm hoping and hoping that because the irregulars kind of have their own like area, that they don't get dumbed down to make Maddie look smart. It's not something that the author needs to ever do because Maddie is clever very much in her own way. She may not be the kind of smart that her great aunt was to go to this college and get this type of degree. I forget what type of degree it was, but it was like really like, I think it was very science based. But You know, she is very clever in her own way, in the way that she takes initiative. And so I want to see the other characters shine as well, and not to just play like full support. You have to look dumber so this character can look smarter. Like, there's just no need for that. So I'm hoping that it doesn't fall into that. But there are some times when I think it kind of does, like in terms of the sheriff, who is very crucial to obviously an investigation. And she and Maddie become very good friends, but there's the issue where the sheriff herself comes to, or used to come to, Maddie's great aunt for help. I wonder how the character of the sheriff will be fleshed out, as are the other characters, because Maddie still doesn't know 100% who she can trust yet. So I don't know how it's going to end up, but I feel like from what I read, I trust this author. So, also, the thing about Maddie's father is he's very possessive because his wife has died, so he raised his child, and he's very protective of her and almost possessive in a way that, like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. I'm surprised that he didn't just hop on a plane and get there. Like, I know she's an adult, but if you are calling her, or maybe it's just my thought of, if you have a family member that's in a situation where murder or two is involved, I don't know why he didn't just hop on a plane and like come and check things out. So, another thing, and this is a funny like nitpick thing, because I'm not like a social media like genius or anything like that. But the way that the author has had it laid out, it's like Maddie will post something on social media and it will get so many views, and then this little like shop that can't get people to come in this small town because they charge a certain price for handmade items that are very incredible quality, is suddenly has so much business based online from one little post. And I'm just wondering, like, I don't think it was really mentioned that much of how she built that following, how fast acting it is. And what are we looking at? What are your numbers? Are we talking Pat McGrath before Sephora and the site would crash every time you tried to order the little things in the sequin packages? Like, I want to understand her reach, because she uses social media in her business to drum up more business. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't want it to just be like, oh, magic phone, take picture, caption, you're good. Or like, because you're an early adopter, you have a lot of followers. That could be a very easy explanation, but I just don't see that it's an explanation that we have. And I would honestly like to know. Because what it seems is like she is some sort of micro influencer. So what does she do? Just lifestyle stuff, or she give me some tips? I don't know. But again, that could just be a nitpick thing. So that was my review. I'm so happy to bounce back into this book. I need to take a break after, what was the last one I read? Crime and Punctuation. Oh my god. This one, I actually feel the cozy in the cozy mystery. Anyway, if you watched this far, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye!